Okay,
So
let's move on to the third one, Xiaoyu. First off, for me, I know that Xiaoyu's actress is Jia Zhangke's favorite actress to work with.
isn't it his wife?
Oh yeah, so I was like waiting for her. I was like, where is she gonna show up? There she is in the third story. And so fun fact, like the married man she's involved with, that guy is my father's mortal enemy. Not in life because they don't know
Why?
each other, but my
Oh.
dad hates his ass. My dad is like, that guy cannot act. Like my dad's like, if he could be famous, so can I.
What? But
So
isn't he a great actor?
Zhang
I thought he was
Jiayi, like I don't think
not.
he's great or not. I've not seen him in a lot of things, but in this movie he's just met, right? Like he's not
Yeah,
the
he
most
wasn't shown that
show-stopping.
much.
Like, he's not the most show-stopping, but he also isn't bad either. So it's like he's convincing enough for his role. So I think he works. But when I saw him, I legit like chuckled because I remembered how much my dad hated his ass.
Your old man hates his guts. Oh,
The third story. It's also a simple one, right? Like this person, this girl, Xiaoyu is the character's name, right?
little
Um,
Jade.
Little Jade. She sort of kind of broke things off with this married man she was sort of seeing, and that it's revealed that she works at a spa, and at the spa she was attacked by the married man's wife and the bodyguard or some type of hitman she hired, and she escaped to this little truck thingy that's called 灵蛇转世, and she got
Oh,
in and she saw this like young girl with like snakes, and then the person gave her a tissue. And that
oh,
scene was kind of, I need us maybe to unpack it because I don't really particularly understand what happened. Um,
okay.
I don't, yeah, I don't know what happened. And the next day
But
when
it's important to point out that that little bus that like V was referring to is like a bus, one of those like buses you see at a carnival where it's like, we can help read tarot cards and figure out who is your um
soulmate, yeah, it's a kind of like a
soulmate.
gimmicky thing at like
Yeah.
carnivals, yeah. And the next morning when she go to work, she saw like a snake disappearing, like just not on the road and then like getting off the road. Like, in that way it's also absurdist, I guess. I don't know. I think this film has surrealist and absurdist elements. And then basically she visited her mom, and her mom is like, okay, this part is gonna be an airport later. Modernization is happening. It's going on very, very ha fast. And when she gets back, she is stopped by some official people who's like, okay, money, please. But the official people aren't really super official because there's no like whole like offices or like there's no like stoppage or anything, so they were just stopping people to ask for money, and the truck driver refused to pay the toll, and he's like, okay, I need a receipt if you are charging me. Then like the officials just like brought up some hoodlums to beat the truck driver, and then little Jade
Yeah.
escaped from that scene, and she went to work at the spa, and at the spa is where she saw the officials, and they insisted to sleep with her basically. And she kept on telling them that, okay, I am a receptionist, I am not a sex worker.
Yeah.
And it based on context and also like based on our knowledge about China, like even though it's not explicitly stated that the spa was used for that purpose, but you can kind of tell if you are us, you know?
Usually,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like,
Especially
yeah.
if you're men, like they'll always kind of like hint at it, like, do you want to go upstairs? Like that kind of thing.
Hmm. And she was just saying no to one of these men. That man was beating her up with money, kind of like the guy in the first story did
Yeah.
with the horse, right? Kind
Slapping,
of like
slapping.
slapping
Yeah.
repeatedly, and he's like, okay, I got money. Then like she had enough basically, and then she whipped out a knife that she kept from like one of the earlier scenes, and she just whipped out moves kind of like a 侠女, like
Yeah, like
like she was
she was like,
trained.
and then oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, like straight out of a wuxia movie, right? And after the act, she went out on the street and saw a bunch of animals, um, which I thought was also really surreal. And she called the police on herself. She confessed the murder.
Yeah.
Mhm. I did a
And
horrible job explaining the,
oh
the
no, no,
story.
no. I was like reliving the moments as you were speaking. But yeah,
Please do the
like
fourth one. That's
no,
like
I don't remember the fourth one that well. The fourth one was kind of like
not now, but
everywhere.
like you
Yeah,
need to
later.
do it. Okay, please.
But I don't remember that one. But okay. But later, like we said earlier when we were doing the other recaps, we don't see scenes of where she's explicitly punished. So Yu does confess, but we don't know if she actually went to jail for her crimes. We can assume that she did, but we never see her come out of jail or go into jail. We see her just going on an airplane and pursuing work at the original mining coal company
Hmm.
in the first story.
Hmm.
And because the original Bastial is dead, the person in charge is now his not
Mission.
concubine,
Yeah.
mistress. But he was the one interviewing Xiaoyu and
Mhm.
making evaluations.
Hmm. And
But
what Tiana just said was the very last scene of the entire movie, the aftermath of Xiaoyu's story, basically. Yeah.
and then after that, I was like, huh, it's over. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
yeah.
but okay.
Sorry, but after that, there's the opera scene. Well, maybe we'll talk about that later. But what are your thoughts on the third story?
What are my thoughts on the third story? I I don't know. Like I feel like I had the strongest emotions for the first story,
Mm.
but then I don't know. What about you? I want to hear your thoughts first.
I I I really felt for her. I don't know. And I think something that like struck me was when standard Mandarin was first used. That was during this
Mm,
story, and we heard very crystal clearly from Xiaoyu and the married man, and I
yeah.
thought that was interesting. I think it's interesting too that we later hear her to also be able to speak the dialect. So clearly it's part of her like aspiration to like be able to assimilate and be able to get out of the place that she was
Wow.
like,
Good point.
trapped to, in a way. But she refused to get on that train because she didn't want her future to also be tied to like this empty promise of a man.
Yeah.
Um,
A really interesting point that happens right after like what you were saying is that so he hears news when she was visiting her mom that one of the bullet trains
yeah,
crashed.
yes, yes.
And we don't know if it's actually the bullet train that her lover was sitting in, but we're sort of implied to think that it is.
No, I wasn't.
I thought he
Like,
died.
no, because it's the train went from Beijing to somewhere, and the guy is going to Guangzhou, so I don't think it's.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
was
I didn't
confused
think.
because I was
Okay.
like, oh, but yeah, because I forgot like where he was heading back. But why do you think they like the director incorporated that scene there?
I think the motif of like tragedy and like people dying for no reason was like threaded through all stories. So by that point, I didn't really think it was unnatural. I just thought it was something that he did in all of them. So, um,
Oh,
yeah,
wait, I also think I read somewhere that that was a thing that actually happened,
I think
but
so
was
too.
suppressed on the news
Hmm.
in China.
I think so too. But when I was watching that seed, what I was thinking was how we consume news differently nowadays. Because back in even when I was like in primary school, like every single person, including myself, like we get the news from like the news channel, right? Like we see
Yeah.
all these stories and we hear about these deaths, like all of us. But now, like, because people consume the news in different media, like some people choose Weibo, some people choose through do like other sources, and we don't know the same things anymore, right? Like some people might prioritize like the stories of an idol, like this person is like dating this other person, and other people know more about like, social news. So we don't have this like collective awareness regarding what's going on in our country anymore. Like that's something I was thinking about when I saw that.
Interesting.
And like even these like kind of like mass level tragedies, like 20 something people were injured and or killed. We don't ever hear about these things anymore on a mass level, right?
But
Like
another
that's
thing
something I
is
was
like
thinking about.
the news, like how credible is the news that we see on TV though? Like, of course, it's credible to some degree, but right now, like you kind of doubt everything you see, and sometimes like it's terrible. But I sometimes trust like I don't know if it's firsthand witnesses, but like random news on the internet blurbs of like people exposing something or whatever more than I would maybe in an actual news channel.
Got you,
But
got you,
that's just me.
got you,
Like
got
I know that actual news channels, if they were to report something something really tragic, they might, like make it soften it up a little
you.
or make it seem not as tragic. Like, of
Mhm.
course, they will report about most of it if a lot of people know about it, but sometimes there's a lot of issues that they don't report, and it really speaks to the credibility of news sources and media sources and what to trust. But the other thing is like it's not just in China. I'm speaking for everything.
No, I agree. But also something that struck me was that like back in the day, probably a lot of people don't have that kind of awareness. They see this on the news and they just believe the numbers and the things that they see, right? So like
Yeah.
that kind of like mistrust or distrust that we have nowadays is also uncommon back in the day. Like we don't question these tales or like these news from quote unquote credible sources or official sources. What do you think that the snakes mean?
Like
Like,
you said, there's like a hint of surrealism, right? Like, why would like a carnival truck thing be right there? And I think it's the back of an ambulance train too. Like they modified the
yeah,
ambulance car
yeah.
to make it like a fortune-telling little
Hmm.
hub. But like when Xiaoyu just left um the married man and saying, like we should separate. I'll give you half a year to sort things out, maybe or maybe not, but let's like just say goodbye for now. And she refused to go back to Guangzhou with him. She went back and I feel like she was like kind of sad and kind of still like thinking about future options.
Hmm.
But when she was returning back to work and saw that car. And that was when the car was like actively broadcasting, like this is what we are, come and take a look, don't miss out on this, blah 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 blah. But
Hmm.
then when she got beaten up by the dude's wife, she came out, she stumbled back into the car like to look for shelter. But at that moment in that scene, there wasn't any broadcasting that was done.
Yeah.
So it's more, to me, maybe that's just shows and reflects um her take on the whole relationship and her expectations on that city man, because initially when she got back she was still like her heart was still wavering and she was like maybe there's still a chance. And that's why like some girls go to like tarot cards or fortune telling because you want to know. And you can see that she like sort of slowed her pace when she was walking by it because maybe she was attracted to the option of maybe, oh, maybe I do want to know. But then when she was beat up by the wife and her little hitman people, I think that kind of like crashed her dreams completely. So that's why when she went inside the ambulance, it wasn't for fortune telling, but it was more like this is kind of like a place that I need to be right now.
Mm. Mm. I think for me, like now that I think about it, um, we said the first story is loosely inspired by 水浒传, right? By the band of the
Mhm.
We Are All Brothers. I forget the English name.
The
What was
Marx Brothers?
it?
I don't know.
And the third one was like related to 白蛇传, right? That was something that was like threaded in the
Well,
third
in
story.
each like story, they kind of have like the protagonist has an animal that represents them. And in the first one, it's like Dahai is the tiger. And in the second one, the ox.
Right now I'm reading some tales on 白蛇传, right? And I feel
Uh-huh.
like 白蛇传 is interesting because it has two snakes. Now that I think about it, it's 白蛇传 is kind of set up like a triangular love story in a way because 白蛇and Xiaoqing are both kind of romantically related to the guy, right? The fuck uh I forget his name. 许仙.
Yeah.
This is like a legend, right? So there are different like variations, and in some forms, Xiaoqing, the green snake, is kind of like the seductive snake, and the white snake is the pure virginal snake. So there is this like really clear contrast in terms of who's the sexualized one and who is the pure kind one. And in the third story, what we saw was that the 青蛇, the blue-green snake figure was brought up a whole lot. So I think that's for a reason. And it kind of like ties into like Yu is also green, right? Like,
Yeah. Jade is
right?
also. Hmm.
So she was framed at this as this seductive mistress who steals men as part of her living, that kind of thing. Even with that, those labels imposed upon her, she is still a woman with legitimate boundaries and morality, right? She refuses to be violated by this man, even when society sees her as this seductive green snake,
Very
right?
good point. Yeah, very good point.
So that's what I was thinking. I think that's part of how society is, right? Like if
Mm.
they a lot of men, if they see you as seductress, then their sexual acts are warranted, then you are asking for it, right? Then
Yeah,
anything they do is not their fault, it's your fault for being, you know,
the seductor.
yeah.
Sucks, man. It sucks.
Do you have other things to talk about for the third story?
Not really. Let me look at my notes real quick and see if I have anything else. Um, I feel like an interesting um thing that is hinting to the next story is where Xiaoyu is watching TV
Mhm.
on her shift, and it's about animals. And then she mentions
Committing
to her
suicide.
coworker,
Yeah.
"Oh, did you know that animals will commit suicide as well?" And yeah, animal is like a it's a recurring symbol in this movie, even in the first one where they're talking about animal in English and also like looking at the horse, looking at also in the second story, the duck that got killed, that got slit in
Yeah.
the throat.
Yeah.
Those are all like basically showing what's going on and the brutal endings of people in that are marginalized in the society.
Mhm.
So we're here, like she says, like animals will commit suicide. Did you know that? But I thought she was going to do something that was related to it after she got beaten up.
Mhm.
But I think it was more to refer and connect to the very last story.
And I think it's interesting too that in the very beginning of the movie we saw this kind of wallpapery green foliage, and then in the
Oh yeah.
third act, in the third story, we saw the green foliage being actually the wallpaper of the spa that Xiaoyu worked at.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that.
I did because
Good
the
job.
green was really like, yeah, it jumped out to me, and I was like, okay, why? Is it because you love
Why?
this woman and you just put like the I don't know. You wanted her story to be the star of the movie. So you put the wallpaper from the spa. Yeah, I don't know, but do you have any guesses?
Well, in the last story, it's also based in Guangzhou, and it's a more humid kind of tropical climate, I would
Mm,
say.
mm.
And you can see the foliage there is
Legit
more
is
tropical
actual
as
foliage,
well.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. I was also thinking about that too. Like I yes, the contrast between wallpaper and actual greens. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. But
Yep. Yep.
I don't
Yep. Yep.
know how to unpack that for now.
I
Um,
don't know either.
so let's move on to the fourth story, I guess, for Xiaohui. Can you please tell the story to our viewers?
I will try my best. I probably won't do a good job because I remember it in snippets and not as a full story. But basically what happens to Xiaohui is he's this factory worker at kind of like a sewing kind of factory. And when he was doing work, he ran off his post to talk with someone else in the factory, one of his friends. But then because he was talking to that dude sliced his hand on the machinery as he was distracted. And the manager of the factory, the married man of the first story, we're talking about,
My father's mortal enemy. Yes.
yes, he concluded that, I think you're to blame, you're guilty because you distracted him and you ran off your post. So for the meantime, like all the money that you make will go to him as he takes a break. And Xiaohui is like, what the fuck, bro? I'm not doing that. And he runs away because he feels like this is unfair and I just got paid yesterday, so why not? And he runs away. And he runs away and he one of his bros tells him, "Oh, there's a job in a kind of like a fancy hotel slash night fancy
Entertainment center, quote unquote.
yeah,
Yeah.
fancy club place. Um Basically like a legitimized brothel
Yeah.
kind of.
Way
Um
fancier place that than the one that Xiaoyu worked at. Yes.
yeah, so it's like a hotel and the rich people of like Taiwan and
Hong Kong.
Guangdong, they all go there. And so he's like, okay, sure, I'll go there to work as a server. And when he gets there, he meets not the love of his life, but this girl that he quickly develops feelings for and talks to with her all the time. I felt that she was super pretty. I don't know about you. I feel like I don't
Yeah.
know why.
Do you know
I
her?
no.
Li Meng. She's like kind of
Oh,
a niche indie kind of actress. I knew her
oh,
before, but I
mhm.
agree. She's stunning. Like,
So stunning. She's so pretty. And then she was working at the nightclub. But they talked, and they kind of like were kind of flirting, not really. But one day raining in the car, like he went up to her and kissed her. And then this girl she kind of got maddish because she was like, you don't even know me. I don't think this is going anywhere. Do you know I have a 3-year-old daughter that I have to take care of? And that basically scares Xiaohui off. And Xiaohui was like, oh no, responsibility? I can't take any of that shit. And then he runs away again.
I think there might be more ways to interpret that, right? But
No, he
even
didn't run away immediately, but there was like kind of a tension that developed between them after that conversation in the car and after that kiss.
yeah,
And um, but he eventually does leave the
he
club.
kind of heard or slash saw her performing oral sex on one of the clients.
Yeah, he
Um,
just kind of stood there and watched, which is also
yeah.
why would you do that? But yeah, he left the place he was working again, and we see that he's jobless once again. But I forgot the sequence of events, but
I think he went back to his like hell, right? He's like, okay, I need this job now. And then the pal's like, okay, but remember not to run off because now you're related to me and I don't want you to embarrass me by association. And he's like, okay, and I won't. And then
But he
he like
almost got beat up.
he was at the bank trying to see like the
Account.
yeah
Yeah.
his account, and then he had no money, and his mom was basically calling him and telling him, why don't you save up? You're probably like spending all this
Spending
money
it on, yeah.
on yourself and not for the family. And he like was really,
Got
really
mad.
miserable. And he's like, I promise I'm not spending anything on me. And he went to this like arcade setting. He was asleep and he was like poked, and he's woken up by this dude. He's like, wake up, this guy wants to see you. And then it turns out to be the guy who had his hand sliced, sort of because of Xiaohui.
Hmm.
And there was a promise of the guy beating Xiaohui up. We saw him raise this baton up, but he threw it on the
No.
ground instead. And Xiaohui took it up. And I was like, oh no, what are you gonna do with it? And the next scene we saw him at the dorm of the new 世界500强, the new world 500 factory
Top
that he works
500
at.
factory. Yeah.
We saw him at that dorm, and the camera cuts and we saw his foot on the ledge of his window and he jumped.
When you thought he was gonna commit an act of violence,
It was on
he
himself. Yeah.
it was on himself. And it's more like, I don't know where to go. I don't know where I can direct this violence to. So I decide to just end myself instead. Really tragic.
You said you didn't like this man. And why is that?
Well, I wouldn't say I didn't like him, but I just feel like he's what I wrote in my notes is he's a scaredy cat, he's a wussy, he's irresponsible, but he's a normal person. He's just like a normal any person you would see and come to know. Because we are all like him to some extent. Like we are scared of responsibilities to some degree. We try to run away from them. But I guess like the difference is like he actually did run away from them and he was scared, like very scared of responsibility. But in reality, who isn't?
Yeah,
Everyone is.
yeah. I thought the sex work in the fourth act were really, really, really probably partially why this film got banned in the first place. Like
Really?
like because you saw
I
like
thought it was
the
violent.
ladies, you saw the ladies like they wore like kind of military uniform. Like
That's true.
and then you saw them like wearing like Peking opera swimwear, right?
Mhm.
They were
Yeah.
basically in a way parodying like what's official and what's in the past, what's historically significant, that kind
Hmm.
of thing. So it's
Yeah.
in a way it's like the disrespect, which I don't know if it happens in real life because I feel like all stories in this film, they're so far away from our lives. I have not seen any of this in my through my eyes. But I'm assuming that like things like that do happen, right? Yeah, and the fourth story, it just because in the previous three, I guess the kind of labor you saw are not are not like modern labor or like are not like
Yeah.
contemporary labor, but in the fourth one, it's something that um some maybe we think about, right? Like about prison labor, about sweatshops, about like how different
Dehumanize. It's dehumanizing.
yes, but we heard about like how like our phones and like products are assembled by these factories and how these top 500 companies they utilize these people and basically pay them like nothing. And I read on Xiaohui's tale that it's inspired by a lot of death at this one factory at Foxconn. So mass suicide spray between 2010 to 2013 where many people just jumped off the ledge of the dorm because they couldn't take it
Foxconn
anymore.
was notorious for mistreating their workers and just being a sweatshop.
Hmm. And all of these deaths are anonymous. You don't even know who they are. And I think the actor for Xiaohui is also not a famous actor. He's like basically a normal person. So the casting in on that part is also intentional, perhaps, because he is supposed to be a nameless and faceless kind of guy, like one of many who like died because of this dehumanizing form of labor. Um, how did you interpret the scene where like the person who injured the hand or when he like didn't beat up Xiaohui?
Well, maybe like at that moment he kind of saw himself. Yeah,
I was kind of touched, right? Because it's one of the only scenes where like
we see
all the men are
humanity.
brothers, where they did not turn on like one of their own. And in this story, one of the scenes that stuck out to me as well was when Fu Rong, Fu Rong, no,
Yeah, yeah.
芙蓉，莲蓉，
Daryl.
莲蓉，莲蓉。
No, it was so funny because when I was watching it, she's like, I'm Lianrong, like the stuffing that you put in
月饼，
mooncakes.
嗯，
And then I was like, ew, then no one eats you. And then she was like, the
好听吗？
guy was like, oh, what did Xiaohui say? He was like,
she's like 好听吗
Does my name sound good?
And he's like, 挺好吃的。
Yes, Lotus, what her name translates to, tastes good.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that
And
makes
then I was like, okay.
But the scene I was referring to was where Li Enrong and Xiaohui were reading news off of some dude's iPad. And at that moment, the technology struck me when other people were just using like Nokias and like screenless phones, and
Ah,
there
yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
like straight up iPad in the movie.
Mhm.
And again, I was struck by how involved people were in the past when they read news as their pastime, basically. And I don't think we do that anymore as a society.
I think like that scene for me, what really struck me more was like what we were talking about before we started recording, like the point where you said like you realized how detached you were from these people and these events that are probably still occurring now.
Hmm.
To me, it was that. It was struck me as, whoa, like the things that are happening in this movie, like and the settings that they capture, to me, it's more like, wow, that's something that happened way in the past. To me, it seems like this was something in the early 2000s, in the 90s, and even in the 80s, because everything, all the settings and all the backdrops were so old and so demodernized, if you will. But this was a movie that was in modern China because we see people like the rich people having jet planes, the rich people using iPads and iPhones. You can see that, but these people they exist in the same timeline and with with us, but I wouldn't say we neglect these issues, but sometimes we just forget about it because we're so far apart from what these people are experiencing that we are sometimes blind to the issues that are occurring in parallel.
I agree. I agree with you. And which is why like I noted down the 他妈的 comments they chose to like leave on some of these like news stories or like posts. Like cyberbullying isn't cool, but like the 他妈的 isn't like an act of bullying. It's more like an act of showing that they care about these people even when they're like so far away from them. You know, when they probably will never reach like Xi'an when like regarding the coal mine story or regarding the corruption story, they probably will never see these people yet they have the same compassion for them. Um, it's in a way this film it's so relevant to us because these things are still happening, but I still felt like a sense of nostalgia for it because a lot of these sentiments, these like true passion, these true fury that they experience I don't think they apply to our lives anymore. They don't apply to our generation anymore, which is
Yeah.
something I'm really saddened by in a way. Um, so I think like the violence and like these feelings are fantasy. Like you see these things and you feel a sense of like cathars catharsis
Catharsism?
them.
Cathar uh
Catharsis.
yeah. But
But you know what I'm saying, right?
I know, yeah, like people might be brave on the internet, but we're all a wimp when it comes to
Yes,
certain.
and yes, and the other side of
Catharsis.
the feeling of okay, there's actually nothing we can do. Uh, you
It's just
okay?
so sad. It's just so sad because like this is, this is a movie that's supposed to be capturing history, but history is still happening. Like the present is history and it's becoming history every single moment that we are here. And nothing has changed and history is a circle, but yet we can do, I guess, even less than we could in the past.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of that, like one scene that struck me in the third story was when like Xiaoyu's like beau, I guess, the married man, he was carrying this fruit knife on the train and they stopped him on through the security and they're like, okay, this is a knife. You can't get that onto the train. And that
Yeah.
really struck me because I was like, okay, now this film cares about like like these weapons, right? And it's true though. It's like real that like in some areas weapons are super super strictly like regulated, but in other areas it's basically something that you can carry on the street and like no one will like you know what I mean? I also laughed at that part because I was like okay, now this film cares about weapon regulation. I didn't mean it like that, but it's just
Yeah,
like,
I know what you mean.
you know what I mean? Like in this country, different things are happening at the same time.
I think like I don't know when gun regulations became even stricter, but guns have been prohibited in China for as long as I can remember. I don't think it was ever legal for anyone to carry guns around or
Hmm
like special weaponized guns around. Knives around, sorry. But I don't know, probably like after each of these like incidents that happened, they got more strictly regulated, I'm
hmm
assuming.
Like especially the hunting gun that Hai was carrying. I saw like 5 holes on one man. Like I was like, I don't hear about these weapons, right? Like we're not in America. I don't know any like guns. Um,
Me neither.
yeah. But I don't know. I just really I like this movie a lot. And you said you liked the first story the most. Was that after you read on them or like even when you're watching it you like the first one?
No, even when I was watching it, because
Okay.
to me, like it was the the more happy endings to me. It's something that's satisfying to see, and especially in like a movie that touches on such dark issues, like it's satisfying to see that, at least some people got their revenge, even though it was kind of suicidal act. Because
Mm.
I know that even though we didn't see the punishment will still be there. Yeah.
So something we forgot to talk about was the epilogue. The opera scene at the very end where um Xiaoyu she saw this opera performance in Shanxi where it's a story on Susan.
No.
Yeah, and then at the very end, Susan, like the opera singer, was saying, "Do you understand your sin?" And
Oh
the
yeah.
last shot was
你可知罪.
yes, Susan 你可知罪. And the last shot we saw was a shot of the audience members, and I thought it was really well done. I don't know, and especially like Susan's story, I also read a little bit about.
Mhm,
That was also like a legend slash traditional opera story where
mhm.
this woman was basically
What
blamed.
type of opera is it? Is
I think
it?
it's Peking opera. So the opera is called Yu Tang Chun.
Mm,
And so the gist basically is that Susan was a poor kid who got abducted and then sold to a um entertainment house or like a brothel and then something happened but eventually she was blamed for murder
Hmm.
But at that point, I think the system was a little bit just and the people were a little bit just. And even when she was no, no, the people were a little bit just, not the system. The system was trying to like beat the shit out of her, trying to get a confession out of her.
Mm.
But some people overturned the ruling and like so she was off the crime that she didn't commit. So there was justice at the end, like for her story. Anyways, do you have a take on the opera seed?
I think I was like very confused at the very end. Like not confused. I was just like, why is everything ending? Like I thought there would be more kind of confused.
Mm-mm.
But I think it's a really good ending to wrap it up, looking back at it now. And it really like it is kind of I feel like I agree with you. It is kind of meta. And it asks like all of us deep down, like
You are
to I
complicit.
guess
Yes.
reflect and yeah, to like sort of point out, have you ever showed numbness or just like, I don't know, like a lot of the complicit people in the movie where they turn their backs against the people that they were supposed to be united with and working together with. Um, and like, did you ever give someone the cold shoulder or were you ever someone that, yeah, was complicit?
Or yes, agreed.
It's so hard though. I think we're all
Of
complicit.
course we are complicit. He is as
Like
well. Like
like
everyone
even just like us reflecting on the fact that sometimes we forget that these kinds of things are happening in this world. It speaks to the fact that we are kind of complicit. But again, like no one is, we're not saints. We can't, we're yeah, like it's just fucking government.
like the fact that we're using Apple phones, of course we're complicit. Like, are you kidding? Like the fact that we are able to watch this movie and the people who are supposed to be the subjects of this movie will probably never will, right? Like they might not get the means to. Like, of course we're complicit. It's something we have to live with and be better people about, I think. Um,
I guess like always try to at least know what's going on and try to never go numb.
yes, is a touch of sin on all of us, but just like you said, try not let it overtake our entire bodies and be like a 骄富贵, 骄胜利 kind of person.
We have to be aware. That's the least that we can do.
Mhm, mhm. I'm really glad that we watched this movie and talked about it. Also, like side note, like when I was watching the first story, I saw Jiang Wu's face, like the actor's face. I was like, damn, this guy reminded me of Lao Jiang, kind of like facially.
Why? Because
I
he
don't
was
know.
kind of chubby?
Like Lao Jiang is Tiana's boyfriend.
Uh,
It's not that they have the same features. It's just like a vibe kind of thing. I can't explain it, but
does Rex have a look of justice on his face?
kind of.
I'll let him know then, because he watched
Remember?
the movie with me.
He did? Did he like it?
He liked it. I think he watched like one of those quick movie, not quick, like more in-depth movie blurbs before.
Mm,
So he
mm.
knew about the movie and he said it was an interesting movie and definitely worth a watch. And that's why I chose this
Oh,
movie.
okay, gotcha.
And then, so good job on him for knowing about a
Yeah,
director that I
Zhangke.
had no clue existed. So kudos to him for that. Um,
I'm glad that yeah, like for the audience members, what are your thoughts on the movie? If you don't have the Chinese context like we did, like would you think any differently about like what we t discussed? Like anything that shocked you upon gaining more context regarding the movie and the historical aspects and
I feel like even if there weren't like the magical thing about this movie that it's so well done and the story is so well told that even if you don't have completely like the context or the details as we do, you can still empathize with the characters and what they're going through, and find a rationale for why they did what they did and get the moral of the story.
Mm-hmm. Because like class struggle is universal. Like
It
even
is.
yeah, even when like people don't understand our history with it, they still can feel the same regarding these people's struggles, like you said.
Mhm.
Um, yes. Okay.
Mhm.
So I think very, very deeply dived, fairly
Deeper than we thought.
deeper than we thought for sure. Time for us to say goodbye.
Glad we got in touch.
Glad we got in touch.